welcome back to Where in the World, where we have real conversations with young professionals about life and career, all while attempting to guess where in the world they are. We'll learn something new about our guests and about what it's like to forge your own career path as a young professional. And when we say young, y'all, we're really talking about a state of mind. You'll also learn by watching this web series that your career may take many dips and turns over time. And just when you think you've made it, you might have to scrap it all and start from scratch. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, and we ride the tide. I'm your host, Clary Johnson, and I have a very special guest today. It's my cousin, y'all.
Woo!
Okay, we're joined today by Tanika Douglas, aka TS, who is the professor of life sciences at City Colleges of Chicago. She's also the founder of Fresh, Raw, and Natural. As a higher education professional, TS teaches her students the structure, function, and purpose of information that governs cells, specifically the human body, microbes, microorganism, and nutrition for their everyday lives. So, the big, hairy question we're asking today is how can we improve our relationship with food as young professionals? But before we jump in, let's do some housekeeping. So, this is a mini web series game show. The questions will range from standard interview like questions to more personal questions about our guests' careers. You'll notice that we're both here today with different backgrounds. In between questions, we'll both have an opportunity to guess where the other person is. And the first person to guess correctly wins. Our guests can ask for clues along the way, and our audience can also help out by asking for clues as well. So please join me in welcoming TS.
Hello.
Hey. Cuzzo, I have been anticipating this conversation. And when you agreed to join us live, I knew you would be the perfect fit for this show because of your success in higher education and your deep, profound knowledge about the body and how we can use food to really replenish ourselves. There are so many young professionals who aspire to build careers in higher education. So we're really looking forward to getting your perspective here tonight. I've even considered becoming an adjunct professor as a seasoned professional. So, we're going to dive into nutrition. We're going to dive into higher education, all the good things. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about the role food plays in helping us to reach our goals and how we can feed ourselves to success. So, first, I would like to welcome you and let's kick us off.
Thank you, Cuzzo. First
Okay.
here. Thank you for making me feel like a young professional. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on the show of Conscious Careers Network. So,
Well, when it comes to cells, I'll say our family has really great cells because I always get the response when I tell people my age that I look a lot younger, 10 years younger than what I am.
mhm.
And I would say the same is for you. And so, but I know I've seen you cooking up in the kitchen. So
Um,
I
mm,
know
I think
you,
sometimes you come over just for the
we all gotta, we
so
all
some
gotta
food
get
back
our
there.
food mixed in somehow.
But
Okay.
that's even, I think that's the best part about it, knowing how much you enjoy my food and understanding that you're feeding yourselves with every bite, but it's still tasty, it's still flavorful, it's still fulfilling, satisfactory. Like, that's what do we choose in order to get there and still enjoy foods without, and then look at the other stuff and be like, my cells have pride. I couldn't keep touching that, even if I wanted to. So, yeah.
Yes, our cells have pride. Well, that gets us into the first question, which is tell us a little bit more about you and your background.
Well, I was just telling someone I've always been into nutrition and fitness. Even it was in my subconscious, my psyche, buried deep, and it came out in natural ways where it was just my interest, and I didn't realize it. So growing up, I just always knew I was going into the healthcare field. I was going to be a medical doctor. And so moving through that pathway, I was still into gym memberships. Like I was the one going to the gym. I couldn't wait. I'm gonna tell my age right now, but when Valley opened up, I was turning. I think I was like 17, and you can only get a membership when you're like 18. So as soon as I turned 18, I'm like, can I please go and get this membership? So things like going to the gym has always been a high interest for me, but also nutrition. In high school, my senior project was based off of nutrition and fitness, and we could choose anything. And my major, this is why I'm in higher education, because I miss vocational programs. I went to CVS High School, and people who know the Cavaliers, let's go 98. Yeah, okay. My point is, I took food service as a major, but this is why I took it. Out of everything I could have taken, because I waited the 3 years to finally make the decision. Out of everything I could have taken, I chose food service because I was like, oh, I can eat every day. And then I get into food service and realize, no, that's not what this is about. We got to plan, prep, prepare, and then we make food only to sop it up. And then it's like all of that preparation led into cleanup and digestion. And so I chose nutrition in that realm. So I'm saying that to say the underlying factor had already been there as I steer my way into the medical field. And that led me into biomedical research, because working in the hospitals, the emotional capacity I didn't have for those experiencing life at such fragile states. The trauma was too real for me. And I grew up in Illinois Masonic Medical Center, a teaching hospital, a trauma hospital at the time. Um, and so that led me into biomedical research, where I had a handle on laboratory skills. That led me into higher education. I didn't sign up to be an educator, but then I realized everyone is. And so being an educator, I'm able to teach the things in which I've gotten a degrees from, which is molecular, cellular, and microbial biology. I was in a PhD program in biomedical research at Northwestern for some time. I got a few publications in that realm as well, in cancer research and developmental research. Um, so basically, being an educator gave me the means, the platform to actually teach those things. And now I'm living it in a whole new element, because we can get into all that, but now I'm just in a whole different position coming from, but everything I've done has steered me right to where I am now.
That's beautiful. And congrats to you on all of your accolades, your publications, your degrees, your classes and your courses, because it takes a lot of hard work. What you said, preparation. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in our follow-up questions. It takes a lot of preparation, and then also just a really strong belief in yourself to be able to go into a field like higher education that's so challenging, and really be able to craft the path for yourself. One of the things that really struck me was when you were talking about how that gym membership was aspirational for you. And something else we're going to talk about a little bit today is, I think, health and nutrition. A lot of times people will say, oh, well, people just don't want to be healthy and that's why they don't do it. I see health and nutrition as, for a lot of people, aspirational, right? I can make
Yeah.
enough money so I can get a gym membership and I can go work out every day.
Mhm.
Make enough money so that I can hire a chef that makes really delicious food for
I
me
don't
every
have to worry
day.
about exactly.
It's very much as, or even when you think about the cost of fruits and vegetables, when you actually look at them, in comparison to packaged food, they're a lot cheaper.
They
uh,
are
but at the same time, if you
the
go and you buy a salad at a restaurant, they can be pretty pricey.
the preparation and the labor. That's why, yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about accessibility to nutrition a little bit later. But before we do, let's go ahead and take our break. Let's start guessing where each other are, because clearly you're by a body of water somewhere. It's very blue. So this tells me that this is a very nutrient rich environment that we're at. It looks like there might be some mountains in the background, but I can't tell because it's kind of cut
Why am
off
I
at
scooting
the
down to see if
top. Okay, so it looks like I'm gonna go for. Are we on the west coast of the United States?
No.
No, we're not.
No.
Okay. You're also you have permission to use Google during these. So if you're
The
unsure and you need to
search.
check a map,
Yeah, because oh no, I know that where I'm talking. For you or for me, because I'm gonna check yours.
I need
Okay.
to make sure I know where I'm at.
Right.
All right. Okay. So I've taken my guess. Can you give me a little bit of a clue about where you are?
Um, sure. There are, let's see. It's a part of the Caribbean, I
Oh,
guess.
okay. It's a part of
That's
the
a good
Caribbean.
clue.
That is.
I honed it in really good for you.
It narrows it down quite a bit. So I
Yeah.
was actually in the Caribbean in my last interview.
Oh, nice.
So
I guess that
I'm
one.
intimately familiar with this area, so you might be in trouble.
Right. Okay. Well, let's get it.
All right, it's your
But
turn.
I gave you a good clue, so be easy with me.
Okay.
Um, it seems like you're not wherever you are. It's not based off of grids,
Okay.
such as Chicago.
Okay.
See a lot of circles and unevenness, but the greenery and the sun on it in that
Mm,
area. You're not in the States.
no.
Okay. But anywhere in that's it. I just get a yes or a no.
No, no, no.
Okay.
So we're not in the States. Did you want to guess about where I'm
Yeah.
actually at? Mhm.
What I don't know. Some Germany area.
Okay. Okay.
It's
So you are in the vicinity in
okay.
terms of. Let me just double check and make sure you are in the vicinity. So you are in the vicinity in terms of.
Mm, Turkey, maybe
Yeah, you're really close.
with
You're really
Germany.
you're very close with Germany. So
Okay.
that's where we pause.
Okay, we
Okay.
go there.
Mhm.
I'm not okay. I'm not doing that bad. I was nervous about this part. I was like, ooh. Usually people nervous about talking about themselves. I'm like, I am not geographically.
I know you're a professor, so I have to pace you. Okay.
No. Lord, I know what I know, but
All right. Well, so you were giving us a little bit of this flavor earlier when we were telling us about yourself. Can you tell us? Well, you talked about your career path and some of the steps that you took to get to where you are as a professor. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that journey for you was like as a woman of color?
Hmm. I think one of my professors said it best with any of whether it's male or female of color, we're not, knocking at the door and they're opening it up for us. We're literally pushing through and trying to pry our way in. And it's been an upward, I just talked about it. What's that upward push? What's that upward battle?
Upward.
Uh,
Okay. Hmm.
yeah, like when the boulder, you're pushing a boulder uphill,
Hmm.
and it's starting to release itself. Like the boulder is getting smaller, but I'm still pushing myself uphill
Hmm.
because there's always this consistency of proof or proven until otherwise. And don't get me wrong, they expect you in some ways sometimes to show up because you couldn't be here if you didn't do something to do what you need to do, fulfill those requirements to get you where you are and meet deadlines.
Hmm.
But then it's still like, can I get along with you? Can you fit in the culture? What does that look like? Can you speak the language of the institution, or what higher education is overall? And I think what helped me was I never had an interest to even be in higher education as my industry in the first place.
Hmm.
But then when it was like something kept hitting, like, this is your field or this is your industry. I need a platform. You have a platform. I have a message. They're helping you even build that message. So it took me to learn and realize higher education was my industry because I was, where do I go? And this is why I find myself in the medical field or in the biomedical research field or in the fashion design world or in the pole dancing world. I look for those things that ultimately sit with my interests, my talents, my awareness, because what's exposed to me and what I'm once I see it, I feel like I'm able to accomplish it
Hmm.
or achieve it, or I see myself at the seats, but once I see myself there, I'm on my way. But I have to see myself there first. And so finding myself in these roles, there's pushback, but it's that glass ceiling adage, or what's the word? Right? That,
Hmm. The
yeah,
glass ceiling.
yeah,
Hmm.
that was there. But then I also was limiting myself. Once I realized my industry, that's when I finally set off on the right PhD program for me. I
Hmm.
went into the biomedical PhD program. I looked into a natural doctor program. I even went back and looked into medical doctor, and I know I don't want to be a medical doctor. So I'm like, what are you doing? Because I'm like, I know I'm a leader. Being a leader, you own up to these terminal degrees because those are the roles in which you fulfill. I was just seeking what my program and my industry was. And once I finally realized, because I have been in it since I was 28 years old, that's when the lights came on, cameras, action, everybody was hugging, and it was like, yes.
Hmm.
And I was
And
able to walk into it.
what struck me so much about what you said is what's something that I think is true for many young professionals, but we don't see it until we kind of make it to the other side, so to speak, which is something I realized is we have this idea that the thing that we want, that the goal that we want is out there.
Mm-hmm.
And because
Yeah.
we think it's out there, we
Yeah.
have a hard time seeing the goal for what it actually is, like
Yeah.
actually breaking it down into
Mm-hmm.
tangible pieces and looking at it and saying, well, what do I actually need to be there? Right? What do I actually need to accomplish this? And when we're able to do that and we're able to look at that big lofty goal in these smaller bite-sized pieces, what we'll realize is, whoa, I'm already halfway there, right?
Yeah.
I already have a platform, like
Yeah.
I already have the education, like you said.
Yeah.
I already have the interest. I already have the audience. I already know what I want to talk about. I've
Yes.
already written these papers,
Yes. Yes.
right? Right. So we think, oh, I want to write a book. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to sit down and I'm gonna have to spend all this time writing a book. When in reality,
You
that
wrote the book.
PhD thesis, you've
Is
already written
Yes.
the book.
You've been writing the book. You probably had a rough draft ready to be submitted.
Exactly.
Yeah, for real.
And so a lot of the work is really happening in us, as you were saying, with recognizing that we already have
You know,
so many of the components of what we need. All we're doing is putting that together.
and you're saying something even beyond that tangible external factor when you're saying it's internally in here, like within you, it was written. It's there. Like I said, nutrition and fitness had already been threaded into everything since I can remember when I was a young girl. I was just thinking I was seeking these. And then it also, another thing, it tied into my sense of community because I was struggling with that. And now my definition and my understanding and what community means to me, it goes into servicing the areas in which raised me. So it makes sense why I teach for city colleges. It makes sense while I'm still going back to my high school and doing things and working with, the alumni of that. And as I move through, because that's what community, as far as that means to me. And so that also becomes an internal, introspective, idea that you got to grasp with to make sense of making sure you're walking the path in which you seek.
Yeah, and it goes so much to purpose too. And I'll say this and then we'll get to our next guesses, but it goes so much to purpose
Yeah.
too. And I know I mean, we hear now young professionals, they're really looking for purposeful work. And for me, it was running away from writing.
Mhm.
But similar to you, every time I've got an opportunity, there was some writing component involved
Yeah.
until I finally decided to embrace it. And
Yes.
now the doors are opening up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and take our second guesses. So we're in the
Wait,
Caribbean.
I gotta do some Googling. Hold on.
I'm just so they're about seven. Are you on a okay? I'm gonna ask this question.
Hmm.
Are you on an island?
Yes.
Okay. Are you in Cuba?
No.
Okay. So I have maybe about six more
We don't have
solid.
6 more of those things though. So you better get that together. You tell about you guys. Hello?
Okay, so you are in the Caribbean, but you are not in Cuba.
No.
Okay. It's your turn.
Okay. Now I was gonna actually look. Is this how close are you to Germany?
Oh
Oh
man.
no, what are you which direction do
Oh, that's a real specific question. So, if you look at a map of Germany, we are going to be east of Germany.
okay. Okay.
That's a partial direction, by the way.
Yes. So I don't know why Austria is popping up, but
Okay.
um I'm gonna narrow in. How far am I going with this? Because you must be in a Slovakian or one of those Russian.
Oh, okay.
Are we somewhere?
Well, Austria, you are a little bit closer, like a tiny bit
Okay.
closer.
Are we going? So Munich?
East.
Are you in Germany at all?
We're not in Germany
Okay.
or
Okay.
Austria,
Okay.
but Austria is closer than Germany.
Right. Yeah.
I'll give you a
Right.
clue about this place.
Prague. Go ahead.
In this place, nature is not only wild, it's free. Laws in this country state that anyone living in or visiting this place has the right to roam the countryside, forage mushrooms and berries, and enjoy the recreational use of natural areas, even on privately owned land.
Wow.
Hmm. Right? All right, let's go on to our next question. So, in our previous conversation, we prepared for this call. You said something so profound that I had to write it down. Here's what you said. In the situation where an opportunity arises, all you have to do is be present, be prepared, and participate. One of the things I like to say is we can't change time or control time, but we can change our preparation.
Hmm.
So, my question to you today is what does it mean to be present, prepared, and participate?
Hmm. I can start off by saying when uh and Chadwick passed
Hmm.
and Viola Davis said something so profound about him. She said every time he walked in a room, everyone else shifted, corrected, and they ensured that they were ready to show up because they knew he was always going to be
Wow.
ready when he. So I find that most people, it becomes almost easy to just do the basic, the bare minimum of preparing your part, showing up, right? And then participating. It doesn't have to be over the top. It doesn't, you want to observe, but you want to engage, right? So you show the people that you're also interested. But for me, being a fashion designer, being a black female, Chi-town, born, bred, butter, batter, beaten, like we have a little je ne sais swag about us.
Hmm.
So I like to show up and show out.
Okay.
But and when I say that, I mean, as my cousin said, you're not overdressed. Everyone else is underdressed. So getting beyond the fact that you prepared yourself, you thought about even down to what you were wearing when you step into this room makes people shift a bit. You notice people start putting on blazers around you.
Yes.
You notice people, and that's the leader I want to be. I want to show up and I want my people to shift in their regard to be just as prepared, just as present, and just as participative as I would be, and not, slack with that, even when I'm not there. I want them to, well, what would TS do? Because I can tell you now, she would, and be ready to have those conversations and come up with solutions, because the challenges and issues are there. That's the whole
Mhm.
thing, but what we come out with is important. So I think I elaborated a little bit too much.
No, that was wonderful. Actually, so I'm taking a project program management class right now at Northwestern University,
Um,
and last night we were actually talking about influence and how leaders, what makes a leader influential. And so when you were talking about just the way you show up, the way you dress, your stature, just that alone without even opening your mouth has influence.
mhm.
And so when you're prepared, you're just going to show up in a stronger way. You're naturally going to show up in a way, there's going to be a light around you because you're showing up confidently.
Yeah,
You've already done the hard work, right?
that confidence. Yes.
You've already got the knowledge and the information, and that's something that's so important for interviewing skills is prepare ahead of that interview because
Mhm.
again 90% of body language of 90% of communication is body language. And so if I come in mentally prepared, I've done my homework, even if I'm nervous, I'm
Mhm.
still going to give off a vibe of I'm here, I'm ready,
Mhm.
right? And I've done the work already, and
Exactly.
that's going to just emanate off of you. So that was really profound. I want to go ahead and start continue with our guessing.
Okay. Look,
So
I'm
you're
into this guessing game.
you're
Oh,
in the Caribbean.
I am in the Caribbean. Would you like some? Oh, I got. If I give you this clue, you may get it after that.
Okay, go ahead.
One of their original. Oh,
Mm,
if I got a couple clues,
okay.
you gonna take them all. This one I'll give. It's a melting pot of African, Asian, Indian. Um, it's another one in there too. I'm missing Mexican. It's a
Okay. So we are in the Caribbean, and this is a melting pot of diversity. Um, so are we in? Okay, I'm going to ask a question. Are we near Florida?
mm, you can leave from you're no, you're closer to South America than Florida.
Okay. Okay.
Girl, I just you taking that next section because that was your guess for the other you trying me. I mean,
Okay, that was my guess. I'll give you that.
oh
I'll
God.
give you that. I agree because
Okay.
that really narrows it down to about 50%.
Yeah, you
Okay.
definitely right.
All right. Okay. So your turn.
Okay. So ooh, this one is a tricky one. Um, are you anywhere in Prague?
I am not in Prague.
However, you're close.
I will say, let me take a look at my map real quick. So, Prague. I am not in Prague.
Maybe you're not as close to Germany as I think you
Maybe I'm not as close to Germany as I thought we were. Hold
are.
on. Hold on.
Can I ask why you chose this with that?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Because when we look at some of the healthiest countries in the world, this country ranks in the top.
Oh, thank you for this one. You did.
Yes.
Oh, you be yeah.
I'll give you another clue as well. In addition to the last clue I just gave you, it also has the cleanest tap water of all the big cities in the
Wow.
world, as well as there's a small village in this country that has the cleanest air in all of Europe.
Wow. So this is the place I'm retiring in.
Yeah.
This is my
Yeah.
retirement. I've also heard another. Okay.
And then to answer your question, we are not in Prague.
Right.
However,
Who's my guest though?
you're closer than Austria. But you're moving very slowly in the right
Okay.
direction.
Very slowly. Okay.
So I've given you a lot of clues.
You did. You did.
Okay.
You
All right.
did.
So we're going to go ahead. We're going to give you some time to digest that. We're
Thank
going
you.
to move on to our next question. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, what are some steps that young professionals can take right now? So when we talk about preparation, what are some of the things that we can do right now to prepare for future success in job interviews, in a new role, or in life in general?
Okay, so my favorite thing is, well, actually, backwards design works first and foremost. Always think about the position you want to be in, whether it's, it could be the most highest up. That's okay because you work backwards in how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time, right? So you work those chunks out and you manage that out over time to see what classes you may need to take. So, first of all, having that place in which you want to be, but also understanding like the industry you want to be in, right? And so as you start to look for those jobs, I call it resume workshop. No, don't. Okay, I think people are aware of this, but looking for a job takes time. Like it's
Yes.
a job
It's a part-time job.
itself. So you will be putting in maybe put some time on it. Do some smart goals. Do a 5 to 10 hours a week. If that's, I'm going to put in 5 to 10 hours a week. And within this time, I'll start building my resume or start looking at in the market, stay on top of what's happening in the market of these jobs because they do change, they get specialized, some things get kicked out because other maybe technology or other, there are a lot of reasons why the luck of the draw and shuffling of jobs and positions occur, but stay current with that. And as you do, when you find the position that you want to hold within that time, once you kind of work backwards and see where you align relative to your own certificates, degrees, accolades, then you look at other jobs amongst that
Mhm.
category. So you tap into and then look at it in different industries. So for me, I always say it's easy for me because I'm in life sciences. So with my students in microbiology, they can look for jobs in pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical drugs, but they can also look for jobs in the healthcare industry, but they can also look for jobs in the food industry, but they can also look for jobs in the government
Mhm.
agency. So my me coming into that field, but that happens across the board. If you start to really sit back and think about it, you're like, oh, this job can cross disciplines and cross industries to where I don't have to. This may be a role, but this role can be found in different industries. That's why I say it's important also to find your industry. That was one thing people didn't tell me. So I went around trying to make some sense of what my industry looked like until, I figured it out. And thankfully I did. But know that it's going to take time. Find your industry. Work backwards. Seek out, even if you think it's big, find mentors or those people who are in those roles. Kind of look and see what they're doing, see how they're managing. Mental health is a real thing, so some people can't manage what comes along with these leadership roles, but that might just be them, not you. So just because they're taking on that role in a way doesn't mean you will. But at this, and just because they're doing it that way doesn't mean you're going to do it that way. But see what they're doing. I think that was some of the best advice I got growing up. Was look at the people who are doing the thing in which you think you want to do, and see how it looks or how it works out for you. So
And
I think
that's
great.
really great advice. because I think a lot of times, especially as first generation college student, you don't really have a roadmap for life after college. You just
Mhm.
kind of throwing things against the wall and doing the things you think you're supposed to do, but you're not exactly sure if they'll ever really pay off.
Mhm.
And you have the faith that they will because everyone is telling you that that's how it works, but you don't really see. You may have a goal and you may say, I want to be a doctor, but you don't know what that life is like. And
Exactly.
I think one of the things that helped me was giving myself permission to try new things.
Mm.
So within my space, right? So my background is in journalism, but with journalism, as you mentioned, that crosses so many disciplines. So I've
Yeah.
done public relations, I've done
Mhm.
internal and executive communications, I've done
Mhm.
corporate communication.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing digital marketing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's all pulling on similar skills.
Right.
And of course, as you cross into different disciplines, you'll need to stretch different parts of the brain and the
Right.
muscle. But you
Have
might
something.
find, yeah, you might find that it's not necessarily the subject that's the issue. It might just be finding alignment with the industry that you're in, or finding the specific kind of work that you like to do and the way that you like to apply what you know in your
Mm.
expertise. So definitely giving yourself the permission. And I always say the most important thing is get the degree. You
Yeah.
can always pivot from there.
Yeah.
Always pivot and find a way into the path that you want. But,
Mhm.
get the credentials,
Yeah. Get the
show
credentials.
show that you can complete what you
Yeah.
start,
I agree.
and that's the first step.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do have some more questions for you. And so I want to go ahead and I want to guess where we are. I'm gonna say it. This is a guess. It's also a question. Have I visited this place within the past month or two?
How would I? I don't know if I look. While I was crying. I don't know if I know that.
Okay,
No,
I'll
I
ask.
don't think so. It didn't seem like you said you did. So I
Is
was
this Puerto Rico?
no. Okay, I can give you another clue.
Okay.
They call it the Western Shelf of South America, which is weird.
Oh,
Southwestern
interesting.
shelf.
The southwestern shelf of South America. Well, you did say that it's close to South America,
Yes.
a little bit north of South America. It's closer to South America than it is to Florida.
And I'll give you another clue.
Okay.
The origin of their music is, I don't know if I'm saying this right, parang or
Okay.
parang. I'm not sure
Okay,
if I'm saying
Quran. Okay. So that sounds like Spanish. You said it's a melting pot, so that
it
does
is.
sound kind of
Yeah,
Spanish. Okay.
yeah. And it is when you if you watch it, it's
You pl-
like
okay, a little
something.
Latin, little
Yeah,
spice to them.
yeah, a little spicy. And there's a reason.
Okay. All right.
Um,
So your turn.
this is getting challenging. Wait a minute, because I
You're
gotta
so close though.
huh?
I say you're so close though.
I am.
Yeah.
If I go to Ukraine, am I going too far? Or somewhere in Denmark? I don't know.
Um so if you look at Denmark, you are more north, but you're not east enough.
Hmm. Right.
So we're
Think like Iceland, but no, I'm going too far.
I'll give you a hint. So we are across the Baltic Sea. We're
Okay.
we're
Okay.
across the Baltic
So
Sea.
somewhere in Finland.
Listen, okay, you already had your guesses.
I must be getting close then.
You already had your guesses, okay? I'm
Okay.
gonna give you another clue about this place.
So
Okay.
not in Finland. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't say it's not
Okay.
Finland. I just said
You had your guesses,
had your
but you
guess.
gonna give me another clue.
You gonna
Okay,
get
I'll
another
take the clue.
clue.
Let me shut up while I mess my.
You'll also have another chance to guess again. and the guess that you just said is not off the table. I'll
Okay.
say that. Okay.
Okay. Is that the clue? That's
No,
okay.
the clue is that there are more than 3 million saunas in this country,
What the fuck?
which is more than one sauna for every other citizen. 3 million saunas in this.
Wow. So it's in the homes?
All right, so let's move on to our next question.
Now let's be look mindful of the time.
Exactly.
Me being a professor, I got
Yes.
class at 6 o'clock.
That's what let's keep it moving. All right, we got a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to state this I'm going to state this statistic and I want to get your reaction. Okay.
Okay.
So, a study of fruit and vegetable intake done by the CDC in 2019 showed that a significantly higher proportion of adults aged more than 51 years met vegetable recommendations compared with younger adults aged 18 to 30 years. And then when we look at the statistics, adults more than 51 years old met 12.5% of the recommendations, while adults 18 to 30 years only met 7.1%
Hmm.
of the recommendation of fruit and vegetable intake. Again, this is a study done by CDC in 2019. I just wanted to get your reaction to that figure.
Real quick, 3 words: boxes, bags, and cans.
Hmm.
Availability, convenience, losing agricultural capabilities, or hand work, farming. So the loss of crafts, and those vocational skills to grow and farm and respect why we need nutrients from plants in the first place. So it's that I see it as that, like the availability of processed packaged and preserved foods in boxes, bags, and cans at these for the younger generation, and the easy accessibility, even though they say we're living in food deserts, but there are farms all around me.
Mm,
Oh, and this is why that doesn't count. This is where, when people talk about food deserts, this is when I get them. So why is it that those who aren't living in food deserts still unhealthy?
mhm, mhm. Can you tell us briefly what a food desert is for people who may not
Food
be?
deserts are classified as areas in which, at certain parameters or radiuses, that don't have like grocery stores, where those people in that community in that area can easily. And I'm not sure if it's like 5 mile radius or 10. You gotta check that one out. But it's the accessibility of like grocery stores where they can get produce and the foods that they so called need. But you do find a lot of convenience stores that don't carry certain produces.
Mhm.
So that's what a food desert would be.
So I'll ask my follow up question as an attachment to this one, also for the sake of time. But
Mm-hmm.
so most of us have heard of the ramen noodle diet, and I will, I admit to being a ramen noodle package connoisseur.
Right, getting there.
I like to get my vegetables, my fresh vegetables, and chop them up, and I put them in
Oh,
there. I'll crack an egg.
you were
Yes,
fancy
I
with
I
yours.
get
You
fancy.
get
Okay, I
the
will crack
adult
the egg
version
in
to
it.
ramen.
We
I like. I
we
was just
adulting.
thinking. Yes,
We adulting. Okay.
yes. This is the adult
So,
ramen.
but I learned that over time because I was eating so much ramen that I needed to elevate the nutritional
Mhm.
level of it. Now,
Uh-huh.
does that still make it healthy? Probably
No, but
not,
at least you made sense.
but at least I'm eating some vegetables, right?
Yeah.
So my question for you is and we talked a little bit about nutrition as being aspirational in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
For young professionals who are juggling multiple jobs, struggling to make ends meet, how should they go about structuring their diet in a way that is complete but also cost efficient?
Um, One word, definitely plant specific.
Hmm.
You brought it up earlier, with so many misconceptions surrounding eating healthy. People assume that it costs more to pull fresh foods than it does maybe a cheeseburger from the fast food joint. However, like I said, there are local farms around that you may not know of with gardens that you can go and get. Now, make sure it's okay. I'm not saying just go into people's gardens and because you can get in trouble for that. But there are farmers markets, there are produce specific stores. But pulling from plant specific foods would be the most beneficial way. Now, it's it's not easy messing around with all of those. So making salads or soups, or like you said, elevating that meal because you know better, you know how to do it. So why not throw in some fresh vegetables? Because at least you know you're getting some form of nutrients. Because that's what it's about. You got to start to think with a mindset of functional eating. The purpose of consumption in the first place is to digest, extract, and absorb. All of the emotions that come along with it goes out the door. That 5 to 15 minute foodgasm, and that's what I call them, foodgasms. This is so good. Oh my God, this is so good. Then you like, oh, this is so bad. Oh, this is so right. Like if it's not functionally feeding your cells, it's not fitting for your bodies. And the thing about that is it's part for part. I say this all the time, and I love this analogy. If I was a Tesla, I would not pull up to the Nissan dealer and say, fix me. But if I was a Nissan, I wouldn't pull up to the Tesla dealer either
Mm.
because the parts don't match. But every time we pull it from a box, a bag, or can, we're also pulling artificial, synthetic, man made, laboratory design, extracted plants, extracted to the umpteenth extraction point, and we're putting that into our bodies and we're leaving our cells to figure it out. So, what are they going to do? Either store it, try to push it down. But if you're eating 3 big meals a day, they're like, I ain't got nowhere to go. You just ate. And where I'm supposed to go? I'm just sit here until I get rid of the rest. And then 2, 3, 4 weeks later, that comes out. But by then you've piled up more. So you got overconsumption that we're concerned with. And then you also have deficiencies, which is not getting the appropriate nutrients from the plethora of different uh, plant specific foods. And how do you do that easily? Thank goodness juicing and shaking is a thing. Like this is how we get the easiest way to bypass the digestion process to get to the extraction and then ultimately the absorption process so we can get the nutrients we need. We have to think about what we're eating. We have to pull for more plant specific foods. We have to think about solubility and we have to think about nutrient diversity. And drinking water because water is going to come break it down, support the pH, and what else? Metabolism and a number of things. So,
Beautiful. Wonderful. Okay. So that was helpful for me. And I'm going to take that and look at ways that I can incorporate more of that into my life. I know we only have a few minutes left, and I have one more question for you.
mhm.
So let's go ahead. We're going to guess. I'm going to say you're in the Bahamas.
Ah,
You not?
no.
Oh, man.
I got a hint. You get
Oh,
it.
no, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. No, we got to get this. We got to get
I got a hint. One more hint. You got
Sorry,
it.
Dominican Republic,
Stop it.
Jamaica.
It's governed by 2 lands. So it's a large island and a little baby island.
A large island in the
And if I give you this hint, you got it.
Okay, give me that one.
TNT.
I don't know that one.
What?
Oh, Trinidad and Tobago?
Oh, I love the
Okay.
Now
Well,
I'm
in that
talking.
case, I can't celebrate knowing that well, I'm gonna give you one more clue.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna give you
'Cause
one
I'm
more guess.
thinking you in Finland, but go ahead.
We are in Finland. We are in Helsinki, Finland,
Helsinki. Okay.
which
Oh, it's off by the water
it
too.
is by the
I
water.
love the water. I need to visit this place.
So the happiness level in Helsinki, Finland is 7.9 out of 10,
What?
People work an average of 1,700 hours. Now, I don't know. They said average hours worked. I don't know if this is for the year or for a month. And this is also a country that often makes it to the world's happiest countries list.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
they have great welfare system, free healthcare, a very clean environment, and of course, as you can see, access to wonderful nutrition. So we only have a couple minutes left, so you're in the hot seat.
Uh-oh.
Our final question that we always ask our guests is, how would you describe success?
Success is moving through a path that pronounces everything about you,
Hmm.
that allows you to enjoy those moments, those people, those minutes, that will exponentially also build you up and allow you to grow so you can deliver information because you can't take the content with you.
Hmm.
That's and that should resonate to the people around you as well. So I want that for my son. I want that for you. I want that for, my sister, my mom, my students. I want that for the people who come into my existence because that's the best gift I feel like you can give someone.
And that's beautiful because so often when we describe success, we describe it for ourselves. But I think seeing ourselves as a part of the collective and seeing that when I'm successful and then when you're successful, we become
Yeah.
successful. And so those are really beautiful words. Thank you for joining us today. You brought so much knowledge to the conversation. I wish we could have more time to chat, but I know you have class.
I
So
do. I got to do all this.
so thank you for coming. And we will see you guys again next week. Thanks for
Yay.
joining us,
Thank you for
TS.
having me.
All
I'll be
right.
back.
All right. See ya.
Bye.